Hello and welcome to Coffee with the Librarians week of June. What is it? 11th, 12th, something like that. Coming to you from the bedroom at the beach house because it is the quietest place for me to do this. I am going to start doing this a little bit differently. On Monday, I'm going to ask for questions. So when I do Coffee with the Librarians, I will be answering your questions. So start thinking right now, what are the questions that you want to ask the librarians? And please try to make them questions that can apply to everybody. I mean, yes, you can ask specific things, but not like, should I have pasta or fish for dinner? But just questions that are a little bit more inclusive and broad. The first question that I've got for today is, do we choose when we die or transition from physical to non-physical? Is it ever a conscious choice, or is it a soul choice that the human us isn't aware of? So let's move into that answer. The answer is yes, all of that. The answer is, on a subconscious level, you are always aware of when you are going to die. You have many exit points and many options. Your path is not linear. Your path is like branches of a tree, and it's always dividing two branches, two branches, two branches. There are always infinite choices, and all of those choices are valid choices. All of those choices are, to some degree, pre-planned, predestined, preordained for your life. But it's that free will moment that where we have the ability to choose. So, if you look at that tree, oh, they're saying that we call it the tree of life. That's not a coincidence. If you look at the tree of life, there are thousands, thousands of exit points. And yes, you will always be, on a soul level, aware of when you're going to go. So, do you know when you're going to go? Do we all have a date? No, we don't have a date. We have a myriad of dates. And our soul knows with what's going on within us and the work that we've done, and around us, the work that we're doing with other people, what would be the best option for us and for everybody based on all of those other branches, all of those other patterns that we have taken. So yes, it's both. We are subconsciously aware. Sometimes we are consciously aware. Sometimes we do know, just in the same way that we know maybe a relationship for us or is not for us, or that we're going to end up leaving a job, or we know that moving into this house isn't going to work out. In the same way that we know these things, we also know when we are going to exit. Whether it's conscious or not depends. It's soul driven and human driven because that's interesting. There is no differentiation between the two. You can't just be soul driven without the human, and you can't just be human driven without the soul on some level. Even though people can and do quite often disconnect from their soul and do things from the human, it doesn't mean that the soul is gone. The soul is still there, and there's still, the word they're giving me is like friction. There's some friction between that. When the human is disengaged from the soul, there's a friction that the human feels that's not entirely comfortable. So yes, the human can make a choice that is not really soul driven, but the soul is always, what they're saying, in the passenger seat. The soul is always in the passenger seat. It's best when we're letting the soul drive with us, but the soul is always in the passenger seat, even when we are making decisions that aren't in alignment with our soul. The soul cannot be completely banished from the life. So it's both. It's yes to both. It's yes and. However, for most people, as we continue on this tree of life, branching and making decisions, we become, on a soul, on a subconscious level, more and more aware of where we are and what's going on. And for most people, their death does not come as the huge surprise, because most people are working with their soul, with God, with ascended masters, with deceased loved ones, with the souls of people around them to determine if this is the right path at the right time. So, yes, we decide. Yes, we all decide. And very rarely is it a complete shock. However, sometimes it is a shock, but most of the time we know and we plan because we've taken all things into consideration. So there you go. Thank you for listening. I will post next Monday asking for your questions. But if you have some other questions, post them below or start thinking about them now. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. Bye.